Let's pick up there, Congressman Jordan. This issue, there's a lot there.
Yeah.
So, let's start here. Let's start on DOGE, because here's part of what is going on with Elon Musk. The Washington Post says these mass firings are backfiring because they say dismissals have been so chaotic and rushed. Termination letters often listed wrong start dates, wrong jobs, or left the agency name blank, as if a form letter hadn't been properly filled out. Some workers are notified their own bosses that they've been fired. Is there some wisdom in slowing down?
Well,
and being more scalpel-like?
I think American voters like the intensity and the focus that they've seen from 30-some days of this administration, going about doing the things they told the voters they were going to do, doing the things they were elected to do. What was the polling? I think I saw just recently, 70% of Americans think President Trump is doing what he said he was going to do. Imagine that. You ran for office, you put your name on the ballot, you said, I'm going to go do this. And one of the things he said he was going to do was get rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse and the stupid spending going on in the federal government. Instead of Democrats attacking the guy who's exposing the stupid spending, how about helping us get rid of the stupid spending? And most Americans say, yeah, that makes sense to me, particularly when they see some of the crazy things that their tax dollars were being used for. I always point to Sesame Street in Iraq, you know, Bert and Ernie and Big Bird in Baghdad on Baghdad TV. Not really the best use of money when you look at the deficits we've been running and the debt that we've piled up.
Well, do you worry, though, that goodwill that the American people are like, yes, I need to know what's going on with my tax dollars, and no, I'm not okay with a lot of this stuff. Federal workers haven't been the most empathetic characters for a lot of Americans, but now they're starting to hear their stories that entire offices are wiped out, people are crying, they're completely unnerved and have no idea how their agencies are going to run.
Shannon, I grabbed this headline, National Parks in Chaos after today's Washington Post story. Here's the first paragraph. California National Park, a Trump administration fired the only locksmith on staff. Next sentence, he was fired. He was the sole employee with keys and institutional knowledge needed to rescue visitors from locked restrooms. Now, if that isn't, I mean, that's the best you can do. The real question is, how do visitors get locked in restrooms? I mean, this is how ridiculous some of this thing is. So maybe there have been some mistakes made, but I think the intensity and the focus on getting rid of the wasteful spending, the one guy who can unlock people who somehow get locked in a restroom at a national park, this is ridiculous. So the arguments I think you're seeing from the left are pretty darn crazy when you think about, oh, we're spending money for the crazy things of a trans comic opera in wherever. I mean, come on.
But do you worry that people, they're with you when they hear that, but then when they start to see things like Elon Musk putting out a tweet saying everyone's getting an email and you got to respond with 5 things you got done last week, copy your manager, or we're going to count, if you don't respond, we're going to count that as a resignation. That's probably not legal in the first place. But do you worry about losing the momentum?
You can name the 5 things you did last week. I was in Israel last week. I know we met with the prime minister. We met with some of the opposition. We met with the speaker of the Knesset. We toured the kibbutzim where the terrible things happened in Rose, where the Bebas kids were taken and killed. I mean, we went up to the north and saw what Hezbollah. I mean, we had all kinds of. I can name 5 things I did, not to mention other things I did relative to things back here with our responsibilities as a member of Congress. So anyone can name 5. But if you're some federal worker working remote, you should be able to name those things too. So I don't think that's a big deal. But you know, people are saying, oh, you shouldn't do those kind of things. You can name the 5 things you were. I'm sure.
I can't, but I'm not a federal worker, and I don't know who's going to feed through all of those responses. Maybe it's the manager who's copied. I don't know, but I wonder how many people. That's probably just another round of lawsuits because we have already got about 80 that we're tracking with regards to recent policy. I want to make sure that we get to foreign policy with you as well, though. As we're waiting for negotiations to come together on this rare earth minerals deal, you heard your colleague, Congressman Himes, saying it feels like, you know, some kind of mafia situation, like we're extorting people to try to get them to come to the table and agree to what we want them to agree to. Reuters has this. They say U.S. negotiators pressing key for access to Ukraine's critical minerals have raised the possibility of cutting the country's access to Elon Musk's vital Starlink satellite system. They go on to say it provides crucial internet connectivity to war-torn Ukraine and its military. Is that something that we should be threatening?
Well, look, I don't know if that's the case. What I do know is President Trump has been clear. He wants to end the war. He wants to stop the killing. President Trump has, I think, a unique way of negotiating, and it's a way that typically gets results. I mean, you can look at the situation with Canada and Mexico and what he threatened, and then how they suddenly decided, well, Shazam, we're going to help you with securing the border. You can look at Israel in his first term. He campaigned on putting the embassy in Jerusalem. And when he gets in office, all the people at the State Department, they think they're smarter than you and I and all the people across this country, all those people at the State Department said, President, you really shouldn't do that. Because that's what every other president had done when they had campaigned on. President Trump said, I told the American people I was going to do it. We're going to do it, and he did. And I would argue that laid the foundation for the Abraham Accords and all he got accomplished with Israel and in the Middle East. So I think he doesn't always operate in the most conventional way when it comes to negotiating, but the results speak for themselves. And he understands the billions of dollars taxpayers have given to Ukraine. And by the way, what's the goal been? What was our objective all along? Was it to get them out of the eastern, drive Russia out of the eastern region of Ukraine? Was it to get back Crimea? Do you know how long Russia's had Crimea? 14 years, or excuse me, 11 years ago, next month it'll be 11 years that they took it under Obama. Is that the goal? No one could ever define the goal, but money just kept flowing. And President Trump says this has to end, and he's working on doing that and doing it in a way that I think is beneficial to Ukraine and certainly beneficial to the American taxpayer.
Okay, a quick question on money flowing, but here domestically, because you guys got to get together on this budget deal.
Yeah.
The New York Times reports on the House version, the budget that Speaker Johnson has negotiated for the next decade calls for around $880 billion in cuts to Medicaid. That's in an effort to counterbalance a portion of the tax cuts. That scares people when they hear that. Where do we get $880 billion out of Medicaid?
Just, the focus has been clear. The president's been clear. Waste, fraud, and abuse we're going to look at.
Is there enough of that to cover $880 billion?
Well, we're going to look to find that. I do think we're not looking to make cuts to Medicaid. But certainly work requirements are something that I don't view as cuts. Work requirements are just common sense. You're an able-bodied adult and you're getting a benefit from the government. There should be some requirement that you do work or volunteer work or something. We have that in other parts of our government payment systems where people are getting aid from the taxpayer. I think that makes sense. So look, our plan is pretty basic. Cut taxes, cut some spending, help the national defense, and secure the border. Exactly what we told the voters we were going to do. That's what's in our plan. The budget resolution will allow us to accomplish that. I hope it's going to pass this week.
The math is going to be tough, as not only on the budget, but on the votes as well. So we'll be watching. But Chairman, thank you for coming in. Good to see you.
Thank you.